one game in the books apiece for both the Western and the Eastern Conference Finals. And two great games. What started out leaning pretty hard in Denver's favor, I want to say they were up like 72-46 or something at halftime, became a legit 10-round boxing match by the end. They're sitting there, both teams are going blow for blow, and it was phenomenal. Jokic is unreal. Anthony Davis had a rough first half, came back great in the second half. Everybody on both teams played really well, minus D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell did not play well, and he had the worst plus minus in the game. He had just not a good game at all. But it's been good. That's a great game. And then on the other side, you have Miami, what some people are saying the best 8 seed of all time. You know, upset Milwaukee. They go through New York, and then here they sit in the TD Garden in Boston, game 1 on the road, and they steal it. That's awesome. I mean, both teams, kind of the same as over in the West, both teams played great. You know, Jimmy had 35 and 6 or 7 with 6 steals. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both were hovering around that 30 mark. I mean, just a great game all over. And there is a travesty in the NBA that Erik Spoelstra doesn't have a Coach of the Year. Erik Spoelstra, not even just among coaches that are currently active, I would put money that Erik Spoelstra is the best coach in the entire league. What he can do with these guys that would barely crack 10 minutes a game on some of these other rosters, when your closing lineup is superstar Jimmy Butler, very good player most of the time, Bam Adebayo. Depending on what the score looks like, you'll have Kyle Lowry, because you're going to need him to be able to slow it down and run, the offense. And then you have guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and stuff. You have these guys, they wouldn't be touching legit rotations, really. Caleb Martin, like these guys, but then they get in the system, and I know there's a lot of memes with, heat culture. There's some truth to it. You have these underachieving guys. You upset Milwaukee in the first round, which by itself, in 5 games, that by itself is a let's crown them, at least, hey, we did great, champions of the playoffs. Then they go through. People don't really give them much of a chance against New York, which on paper, New York is also better. Milwaukee on paper was a lot better, record-wise too. They just flipped that switch. And Brunson has a great series. Julius Randle doesn't at all, really. They go through them. Now they get Boston. And what do? These role players, these guys that know their role, they're going to buy into the system. They're going to say, cool, Jimmy's going to be that guy. If we need a for sure bucket, Jimmy's that guy. But we're going to be gritty. We're going to win the 50-50 battles. We're going to hustle every single time. It doesn't matter how big their lead gets or how far behind they are. They're going 110% every single play. And it is showing. They are playing great defense and they're unreal. The Heat, do I think they'll beat the Celtics for the series? I'm not sold on it yet. But if Spoelstra is, like I said, he's like the best coach in the league. Joe Mazzulla is going to have to make a lot of adjustments and hope that the chess game between him and Spo tilts a little in his favor. Because, this is an interesting stat. In game 1 in Boston, in the third quarter, I want to say Boston was up by like 9 or 10 at halftime. Maybe 7, something like that. So they're up, starting the third quarter. So you go the whole third quarter, 12 minutes. Miami hits for 46 points in the third to effectively get rid of the deficit, take the lead, and never relinquish it after that. But the crazy thing is, did Joe Mazzulla graduate from the Mike Budenholzer school of never calling a timeout in a 46-point Miami quarter? Okay, 46-point Miami quarter, 12-minute quarter. The Celtics called 0 timeouts, not one. What? How? How can you not call a timeout and talk it over? You're giving up, in the process of 46 points in a quarter, you're watching your lead evaporate. It's getting out of hand the other way, too, with Miami kind of getting the lead after, eliminating the deficit, and you don't call not one timeout. There's not a point where you go, hey, let's slow this down, let's talk this over, nothing. What? How? I'm getting borderline angry right now. That is the simplest thing in the world. Start to go on a run. I think there was a 9-0 run in the middle of that, 11-0, something like that. At what point do you not just go, nope? And to counter that same point, at the start of the fourth, I believe, there's still a ton of game to play. It's the start of the fourth quarter. There's 12 whole minutes to go. The Celtics, I don't know, they did, I think, 2 or 3 baskets in a row. It might have just been 2. It was 90 seconds in the fourth quarter. Eric Spoelstra calls a timeout. Says, no, we have to talk about this. That is what good coaching looks like. And I'm not saying that Joe's a bad coach. He is not. But he's a new coach, new head coach. So it's going to take time for him, and maybe he won't. Like I said, Mike Budenholzer still doesn't call timeouts. Granted, he's unemployed right now. Hardy har har. Also, no offense to him, because with the stuff with his brother and everything, but this was before that. He still never calls timeouts. So, to me, if it's going to come down to a simple, chess game of adjustments, I think Miami has a huge advantage. When it comes to team-wide talent, Boston has a huge advantage. Joe has to get the best out of his team and make the necessary adjustments, otherwise it's going to get bad fast. It's going to get bad really fast. Let's say they drop 0-2, you go down to South Beach. No. If they go down 0-2, I don't have any faith in Boston. Miami wins it. It won't be a sweep or nothing. Both series are going to be going 6 or 7, without a doubt, because the way the Lakers fought back, made it a great game in the second half. Give me 6 or 7 games of that. That was fantastic. Even the grit and grind, between Miami and Boston, give me 7 games of that. I would love every second of it. I think right now, and game ones are not indicative of this, I'm not being reactionary, but I think the finals is going to be Nuggets and Boston. I think we're going to have a Denver, I don't know why I did a mascot in a city name. Denver and Boston is going to be the finals, I think. And I think it's going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. But neither of these series are going to be going less than 6. I swear. If any of these 4 teams win in, 4 or 5, that is going to be the biggest surprise since Milwaukee losing in the first round. It's going to be just unreal. I don't think anyone thinks either of these series is going less than 6. But these playoffs have been great, so I'm all for it. And I can't wait for the finals. I hope the finals goes 6 or 7 too. That'll be great. Off the top of my head, I don't know any home court matchups for the finals, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about these conference finals because they are awesome so far. So I believe game 2 of Lakers and Nuggets is tonight. So hopefully we have another game of just another great game. I want to see the adjustments that Darvin Ham makes. I think he will. I like some of the stuff I've seen from Coach Nick on B-Ball Breakdown. Chuck kind of talked about it, Charles Barkley, with starting Rui alongside Anthony Davis. That could do a lot of good. But with the way they fought back in the second half, you might also want to kind of keep that in the back pocket, leave him off or bring him off the bench. So there's some chess, that has to be played. Bringing Jared Vanderbilt off the bench, I don't know if he might be in the starting lineup or not. And so we'll just see, because this is going to be chess match between two really good coaches, especially the second half of the season when the Lakers roster was more manageable with actual pieces to be rotating. Because when you have Westbrook and stuff too, no offense to Westbrook, but his contract and stuff, you have way less players to be rotating. You've got Anthony Davis, LeBron, Westbrook, trash. Then you trade him, you get good pieces back, and with, you know, signings and stuff too. So you have Rui, you have Jared Vanderbilt, you get D'Lo, you have all these guys. You know, the second half of the season especially, Austin Reeves came alive, and so you've got these guys that they can play, they can ball. You just have to have more than just 3 big stars and a bunch of YMCA guys, which was the problem in the first half of the season for the Lakers. Now they're a good team. You bring this whole team back next year, that's probably a 50-win team for a whole season. I mean, they were already a 40-something win team, even with the starting, 2-8? Something to that effect. I mean, had a great second half of the year. They're going to make adjustments. They're going to come back. I think they leave Denver tonight after the game. I think they leave probably tied 1-1. Yeah. I'm going to say they leave 1-1. I'm going to say the Lakers make the adjustments they need. But it's going to be a close game. Like, 1 or 2 possession game towards the end where the Nuggets can keep it 2-0, protect home court, head to LA, in a lot better of a position than 1-1. But I think tonight, the Lakers can do it. I think that they make the adjustments they need, especially the rotational adjustments that they need, and I think they can even it up. I really do. Same as I think Boston's going to even it up probably tomorrow. I think both series are going to end up being 1-1. The difference is Miami already for sure has stolen home court. Denver has to protect home court. And so that's where that difference comes in for the teams that won in game ones. That's why I was saying it that way. So you're going to have game 2 with Denver trying to protect home court, but then in game 2, Miami already stole home court. You're dealing with house money at that point. You're going to obviously do your best to win. If you can go back to Miami up 2-0, oh my gosh, go ahead and book the flight to, like I said, I think Denver. But it's going to be a different dynamic. The chess games are going to be there. I have full faith in Eric Spoelstra, and I have a lot of faith in Michael Malone this year. I really do. But Darvin Ham and Joe Mazzulla are also really good coaches. They're also very new coaches, so that might also play into it, at least to a point, especially when it comes down to like a late game situation. They might try to just be a player's coach like Doc Rivers, and it could go a lot of different ways. But I think tonight, the Lakers can even it, and they're going to go back to LA 1-1. I think that tomorrow, probably, when Game 2 happens, I think that they go back to Miami, also 1-1. But I would not be surprised if they go back to Miami 2-0. Boston's really inconsistent, and they have a lot of really, really, really high highs, but their lows are low. Abysmal low. So, we'll see. But I think it's going to be 1-1 on both sides after Game 2s, but we'll just have to see.